happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Arbor Day. If you don't celebrate it, I'm gonna wish it to you anyway. And I know we're all just trying to do our thing, to celebrate, and it's all great. So happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Arbor Day.
We celebrate for myriad of reasons, reverence and kinship, all over the seasons, meeting, keeping faith, whatever we believe in. Every precious moment, so imbued with meaning. Coquito and parandas, merriment and joy, from elders in each family to every girl and boy. Festive attire to lift up every voice. Hoist up a glass of your beverage of choice. Whatever it is you celebrate, we've got something for you. Every apparatus from Kanara to Menorah, everything's a part of it, from fauna to the flora. Shindig, chilling in my holiday fedora, building on the happy times we're hoping to have more of. Rejoice with the feast, warm tidings how we greet you. We got a full spread, vegetarians can eat too. Sending happy gifts of love and fellowship to each of you. Shorties playing peekaboo, learning why they teaching you to seek the youth for energy that's reaching through.
Oh, happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Arbor Day. If you don't celebrate it, I'm gonna wish it to you anyway. And I know we're all just trying to do our thing, to celebrate, and it's all great. So happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Arbor Day.
There we go. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, podcast fans of all ages. I am Dave Valente. With me, as always, is Dan, the man Fishman. How you
What
doing, Dan?
is happening, Dave? Tell me about your Grinch hat.
Yes, it is the Dave who stole Christmas. So Grinch hat, Grinch shirt. So I'm in a festive spirit. Is what less than 72 hours from Christmas. So
Is it?
we're getting close. We're getting close. And Hanukkah.
Hanukkah starts on Christmas this year. It's
Yeah, it's a late
Really
Hanukkah
good.
this year.
well, I mean, that's the thing with a lunar calendar, right? Is that you really
Yep.
get a lot of variety in terms of when things could happen. But I am excited because Hanukkah is a festival of lights, but also it is.
Crazy nights.
What's crazy about it is like, Hanukkah's old, right? It's an
Yeah.
old holiday. It's a rebellion in Judea in 150 AD. Really, actually, no, 150 BCE, because it's during the Greek occupation of the Middle East. So it's just crazy.
Damn those Greeks.
Those Greeks. But it is it's interesting to like see these things and pull out like the dreidel, has the 4 letters on it, which stands for a great miracle happened there. But that language is still read by the people of Israel, right? The same
Yep.
language that was used there 2,500 years ago, and that's a crazy thing. Anyway, so I'm excited for Christmas because Christmas has the best music, right?
No.
No, come on.
No.
Come on.
You
First of all,
have you ever worked in a mall during Christmas?
No, I have not. But like I have a Christmas playlist. You know what? I should share.
I know you've shared your Christmas playlist list with me,
Yes,
and they're
it's
good. They're good songs. I'm not saying there are no good Christmas songs.
right.
And
But
knock on wood, and don't do this to me, people on Facebook and wherever. I'm s- I'm still in the game. Mariah Apocalypse and Whamageddon. I'm still in
I'm
the
getting.
game.
Well, there's a third one now. The Jeanette rocking around the Christmas tree um,
Ooh.
is replacing in England. You must be familiar with the song, Brenda Lee. Uh, no,
Yeah, I'm rocking around the Christmas tree. Yeah, Brenda
right?
Lee.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and so that is rapidly rising in England in particular. It's had a huge resurgence. So people are saying that it's going to be bigger than Wham this year in England.
so
Uh,
that's the song that people are trying to avoid, or
or no, it's just the song that's getting the most play. I mean, Mariah's song is obviously the biggest Christmas song ever. Um, but
Hey
hey,
Joe,
Joe, how's it going?
where are you going with that
Hey,
gun in your hand?
good to see
But
you.
that Brenda Lee song is catchy, and people are saying it's going to be the triumvirate now. It's going to be the Whamageddon, Brenda Lee, who's still alive,
Yes,
uh, unlike George Michael
this is true,
or Mariah Carey.
and not just the
Who
George Michael sports machine.
exactly right? I used to watch George Michael
I
movies.
did too.
Yeah. Um. Uh. Anyway, so Christmas has the best music. Uh. The the food is amazing. Eggnog, uh, gingerbread, all that stuff. Maybe I just have jealousy for it, but anyway, so I'm excited for the Christmas season. And are you? I'm guessing you're not working at all next week.
No, I'm working Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday, the day after Christmas.
Yeah,
Wow, that sucks.
yeah, and then
Yeah,
New Year's week. So
Interesting. I
that's New Year's Day.
yeah, I am working all of next week just because Hanukkah is unfortunately not a major holiday, and the teams around the world celebrate Christmas, so we're cranking away.
There you go.
No,
How
Daryl,
are you doing, Joe?
Mariah Carey was replaced just like Paul McCartney was. Uh, Mariah is dead, man. Miss him, miss him. I hope somebody gets that joke.
oh, to answer your
So
question, I'm doing just great, Dave. Just great.
good, awesome, awesome. So yeah, this is the beginning of our 2024 dumpster fire and review, year in review show for the political deep dive for really what happened this year. Is this it?
Hey, what happened?
Yeah. Hey, what happened?
So the,
Um,
the year started right with primary season.
God. Yeah. So let's talk about the primaries because the primaries were largely a dud when you think about it.
They were. I mean, it was interesting to think that. I wonder if the Democrats knew everything all over again if they would let Kennedy run in the primary
I don't think you
because
can block somebody from running in the primary.
well they did.
I mean,
I mean they stopped him from running by. I mean you're right that they couldn't stop Mariah Carey or
that's true.
Marion Williamson. Uh, you get them confused. They couldn't.
Or mom.
They couldn't stop her. Or what was the guy's name? Dean something or other.
Yeah, the Maryland congressman.
Right, Dean Stockwell. No, Dean Davidson. No, it's not him either.
No.
But whoever it was. But they essentially blocked Kennedy by not having the state party not help him gather signatures or anything like that.
I'm gonna play with a new feature on Restream, so you guys will
Okay.
see some changes.
All right. I'm excited. Yeah. Oh, I see it.
Ooh,
I feel
very
less
nice.
round. But so because Kennedy wanted to run in the Democratic primary, and I think in retrospect also it'll be interesting to see if in the future parties will say we screw ourselves by trying to avoid primaries. Because I think if the Democrats had known what we frankly all knew, how infirmed Biden was,
Yeah.
they could have had somebody else running in January and February and not have had to switch streams.
Well, I think with one thing that I don't think the parties are going to learn this lesson, especially the Democrats, because they've made this mistake several times now.
Yeah.
Is that the party apparatus is trying to control
Yeah.
how the primaries go rather than having an open contest. I know that the parties had their marching orders because usually the president gets to put the people that he trusts in place of the party apparatus, but it's not especially the Democrats, that's not worked well.
No.
And it's now done, 2 elections were done in Brazil has forced a choice on the Democratic Party that ended up blowing up in their face.
Well, I
It
mean,
was given as Donald Trump.
we can get to that going wrong in July because that's a disaster too.
Yeah.
But just in the primary process, they screwed themselves by trying to protect Joe Biden, which it was so conspiratorial. So I think that we'll see whether or not they learn. The Republicans, at least had a race, right, with Rhonda and Nikki Haley.
Sort of. So Donald Trump wins 49 of the 50 states, loses Vermont
Yeah.
and the District of Columbia in the
Yeah.
primary race to Nikki Haley. Nikki Haley never was a threat to Donald Trump.
No.
Yeah, there was a race, but it was pretty clear that it was going to be over well before Iowa started.
I mean, it's interesting because there's a point which Ron DeSantis looked pretty strong, and then he just faded.
Yeah.
So
I mean, he did, but that always
Yeah.
had. I mean, it happened to Kamala Harris back in 2020. She looked very strong back in June of 2019, going into the 2020 campaign cycle. They had that. She had her moment, and then Tulsi Gabbard,
Destroyed her.
torpedoed her.
Yeah.
And that's when she didn't even make it to the primaries that year. She was dropping out before then. So
Right. In many ways, it probably was the best thing that happened to her because she said fewer bad things about Joe Biden because she wasn't in the race. And so it was easy for Joe to pick her to be vice president.
But I'll throw in something. Can you imagine if the Democrat Party would have been smart enough this year or in 2020 to have run a Tulsi Gabbard instead of totally alienating her? I think she could have won both times.
I don't know that the Democrats would have ever gotten. I mean, like the rank and file of the Democratic Party would have ever gotten behind Tulsi Gabbard. She has those.
You see, there's the
You say
well, the LGBT
LGBTQ
stuff. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
you just can't be anti-gay and win a Democratic nomination.
Good point.
even
That's a
the
good point.
pro-Assad stuff. She had kind of burnt her bridge with the Democratic Party before she got into the race. She was kind of one of those fringe anti-establishment candidates in 2020. She had that moment where she nuked Kamala Harris, and that was really her contribution to that race.
Right. But I do.
But they ended up same with RFK this year. Total fringe. Yeah. I mean, and that gets back to your original question, Dan. What would have happened if they would have not only let him primary more, but nominate?
I mean, the other thing about it that is for sure is that absent interference, Bernie Sanders wins the nomination in both 2016 and 2020. And I think that he would have beaten Trump in 2016. I don't know about in 2020 because the incumbent president. But probably, if he'd been president in 2016, I don't know. It's
I
a
don't
weird
think
thing.
Trump runs. If he lost to Bernie Sanders in 2016, I don't think he runs in 2020. I think
Yeah, probably not.
that novelty of being president rubs off very quickly. Of running campaigns rubs off very quickly. The power that he got being president is what drove him to run in 2024.
Right. Yeah, those are all legitimate points. So we have this crazy primary season that lasts for like 8 minutes, and then we know who it's going to be. And so then, because of the complete collapse of the Commission on Presidential Debates, we end up having early debates. I actually don't remember the DeSantis Gavin Newsom debate.
I remember I remember it happening. I didn't watch it because I just really couldn't care at that point.
Yeah,
gonna be real about that. But thanks to Janice, Adam, Carol, Brandy,
everybody's listening.
Everybody's watching tonight. Thanks for coming on and sharing a little bit of your holiday season with us.
Absolutely.
Whatever you celebrate.
Yeah, so Adam raises an interesting point. I don't think that Bernie would have taken Tulsi, but he might have, because Bernie doesn't have to prove anything else progressively, so he probably should take a conservative Democrat as his running mate. Tulsi might have been interesting. Might have been a chance for her to gain some political cover for the unfortunate stuff that she'd done when she was running in Hawaii. Now, I mean, we obviously know this better than most people because a friend of the show, Fina Bonanen, had run against Tulsi, and
ran against her father too, right?
Yeah, and so we know where the bodies are buried in that race. Essentially, mostly the social conservatives running as Democrats, but really in a state where it's much more of who you know than what you stand for sort of election. However, it's going to be interesting to see, where that ends up for everybody now. So we go along, and then the primaries are over, and then there's nothing, right? The election is sort of off the radar for a long time.
Yeah, just everything starts simmering at that point, and people are anxious, and people are. I think we get into a point where people are openly worrying about what's going to happen with the election, whether we're going to have conflict after the election, whether we're going to get be able to come back together after the election. We kind of have a spring of discontent in the country where we're fretting about what's coming, because you see Joe Biden, and every day it seems like some stories coming out about his lack of mental acuity. He makes a gaffe here and a gaffe there, and it's not like Donald Trump's not making gaffes himself. I mean,
but
neither one of those guys are quality at all.
If you saw Biden walking,
oh yeah,
right. I mean, you would be thinking, I'm going to have to resuscitate this man at some point. I mean, he looked so bad.
He did one of those little life alert
to everybody. Exactly. Except right. Except for the rest of the Democratic Party. There's these strange sort of sidebars in politics. Right. George Santos gets expelled from the House.
Yeah.
We can talk about that in a minute. Himself independent, or he said he wouldn't run. I can't remember when Manchin made his announcement.
Yeah, Manchin made his announcement. It was really late in the process. and left the Democrats here scrambling because he intimated that he might run on the no labels ticket. He might run Senate for West Virginia, and I think he saw the writing on the wall in West Virginia that that was never going to happen. He wasn't going to get reelected,
Yeah.
and decided to retire and head off into the sunset and do his own thing. He's not really popular within the Democratic Party or the Republican Party at this point. So, um, one less kind of centrist within the political realm, willing to buck his own party. Um, there are
There's
surprisingly few of those remaining.
right. It was an interesting sort of turn of events too, because that's the point in time at which all the people who had been lined up to bash Trump start to get in line and start to, kiss the ring.
Selling
Yeah.
out.
Yeah,
Selling
exactly.
out.
All the people who-
Even Nikki Haley. I mean, well, we've seen this with Trump the entirety of his political career, in that he is absolutely vicious to Republicans. When he was running in the primaries, whether it was Lindsey Graham and Ted Cruz in the first, Marco Rubio in the first run, Nikki Haley
Yeah,
in this
Bush.
one, and just absolutely savaging in them, and in turn, they end up kissing the ring.
Yeah, I mean, it was shocking that Nikki Haley
Just
did, because such a complete about face.
Yes.
totally.
And-
Yeah, I was so
yeah,
disappointed.
no, me too. Because Nikki Haley, although certainly you can make an argument that she's a neocon, all that stuff, but she's been good to libertarians. In 2014, when she ran against Steve French for governor in South Carolina, she insisted that he be allowed on the debate stage. The libertarian Steve French. Now, to be fair,
Nice.
she was going to win no matter what happened. So she could be as magnanimous as she wanted to. Democrats weren't winning. And, Steve French was a pretty smart guy, made some good points. But running on a platform of legalizing cannabis, South Carolina wasn't ready for that in 2014.
Yeah.
Although they might be getting closer. There's a couple other of big things that happen outside of the space of politics. In the beginning of the year, Harvey Weinstein is coming to a head,
Yeah.
which is interesting because we sort of see that
And
raising up a little bit
James
now.
Dolan, the owner of the New York Knicks, New York Rangers, I believe he owns MSG. So
Yep.
big time player. Also getting caught in the whole Harvey Weinstein saga.
Yep.
That was breaking in January, and it continues to this day. I mean, Harvey Weinstein. I'm trying to remember. Didn't they have a recent decision where one of his convictions got overturned?
Um,
Don't know.
I think that what happened was, it wasn't that it was
It
over.
was on a technicality, but it was
Yeah. And it wasn't that it was canceled. It was that they said they had to have another trial for it.
yeah.
Which is, whatever. He's in jail for a long time.
Yeah, because it didn't
like,
wipe out his other convictions.
right. It would seem like that would have changed a lot of things, but I think we'll circle back around to this whole Blake Lively thing that's going on right now, where it's essentially it's the same old,
Yeah,
which is pretty disappointing.
yeah. That whole story is maddening to read, to see the. How do you do that to Brian Reynolds' wife, man?
Deadpool.
I mean, yeah.
It's yeah.
Some things seem lower
Yeah,
than others,
yeah.
don't they?
It's pretty astonishing for a lot of people don't know anything about it either, but it's just weird that can happen, that an actor or actress can be put in a scenario where they feel like the sex scenes that are being filmed in the movie are A, unnecessary, and B, sexual harassment.
Well, I mean, they were adding scenes to where the
Yeah.
original script has this, and they started adding a bunch of sex scenes,
Yep.
and a lot
Yeah.
of times it's not just she stayed strong and rebuffed his advances, but the retaliation is
I mean, the engaging of a smear company
yeah,
is just ridiculous. I mean, I'm hoping that the fallout for them is pretty significant too.
yeah. But yeah, let's go back to the George Santos thing because we kind of
Yep.
touched on that. George Santos, we all know that he had the issue where when he was elected, right after uh, taking seat in Congress, the stories about I mean, it really was kind of close towards just after getting elected. Stories started coming out about how his resume that he used to get elected in a marginally Democratic district in New York um, was largely fabricated, and he became this just anchor on the necks of the Republican bare majority there in the House, and it was interesting to how they fought for him to an extent because they did have such a bare majority in the House. And
Yeah.
then, it became clear that they couldn't. Like they knew
Right.
they were going to have to get rid of him, and
Right.
eventually they do on February, I think the 13th, they vote to expel him from the House
Yep. Yep.
based on convict. I don't know if he's been convicted or not, but he's been
Yep.
charged in a few crimes.
Right. And the Democrat, the former uh, House member, Democrat, gets reelected to take that seat. So it does
Yeah.
flip a Republican seat Democrat and cut into their majority. But things are going pretty crazy too. You might not remember, Dave, but we had a different Speaker of the House at the beginning of the year.
We did. Kevin McCarthy was the Speaker of the House,
Yep.
and then
And
things
then
went haywire.
right,
And
and
for
then
the
we had
second time in 2 years, we see this just absolutely batshit insane
battle.
speakership battle.
Yep. Yep. Uh, on one side, you have John Cena and The Undertaker. And on the other side is, I wish Daryl could comment on this. He would do a better job than me in naming wrestlers. But it was kind of like that, right? You had a
Yeah,
heel and a face, and just all these crazy things, and then at the end, everybody who's running gets eliminated.
yeah. I mean
And
the rounds of voting that they went through to do. I mean, the first time with McCarthy and how that really blew up in their face was amazing to watch. That and watch the bad lip reading treatment of that vote because that is hilarious stuff. But the second round doesn't go any better for the Republicans. The popular candidates get ushered out,
yep,
and we get stuck with a guy named Mike Johnson that nobody really knew anything about.
yep,
Yeah, we were all thinking,
Yeah, it
who?
was like who?
yep,
They were just. I think at some point during the whole thing, they were just like, all right, so who here has a
right.
good head of hair and
Who
has
hasn't been speaker yet?
hasn't been nominated. I mean, Trump was nominated both times to be
Well,
speaker,
I
and he
mean,
can be speaker.
which leads to this question, right? Because there's a lot of talk that Elon's going to be speaker.
No, I mean, yes, there's a chance that he could,
Yeah,
but I think what we saw with the House vote on, and I know that we're going to have new House members joining, but still, it's not a huge majority for the Republicans.
not at all.
But we saw this week with the vote
Right,
on
the debt
the
ceiling.
continuing resolution. I think them rejecting the Trump Musk
Yeah,
deal
yeah.
may
They're
portend some struggles for the House majority coming
it,
January.
it is going to be interesting. I mean, I was actually one of the people who suggested it should be Ron Paul. Make Ron Paul speaker, but
Well, I was going to say, how about Justin
Justin would have been a
Amash?
good choice too.
Oh, he'd be
Yeah,
fantastic. I'm not a Ron Paul guy,
I
but
yeah.
I hear you.
I
Michael
hear that.
Buffer. Let's do Michael Buffer and just start having fist fights in Congress, like just right on there on the floor. let's get ready to
So you
rumble,
want
and we
it to
just call
be
down 2 members, and they beat the crap out of them. And I know that we're gonna have some age disparities, so you may see a broken hip or 2,
Yep.
but let's do this. Let's
You
do
know,
there's a lot of titanium out there, Dave. You know, we have the technology. You know, they can be
yeah,
fixed.
yeah. Schwarzenegger would be a good choice, right? I actually don't know what it means if you're not
Hasta la
allowed to be
vista,
president
man.
for
They just skip you
occupying.
out.
Do they?
Skip
Okay,
over you. I mean, the only 2 offices that have a constitutional requirement to be a citizen is president and vice president.
right.
If you are a non-citizen Speaker of the House, I know that at one point we had one of the one of the guys in, I think, President Pro Tem, that was not a natural born citizen.
Interesting.
And so all you do is just skip to the next person. You have to be constitutionally eligible to be president. And if you're not a natural born citizen, then you are not.
Well,
Yeah, on talking about being president and constitutionality, I want to throw something out there. I jokingly said to my wife, recently the whole Trump team's been selecting their cabinet members, and I think they're complete. As much as I'm anti-Trump, I said to my wife Sally, I said, if the Trump team reached out to me and offered me a cabinet position, I'd take it on one condition, that I could always be the designated survivor, because it's the only way we're ever going to clean house on the Republicans is if they get blown
Right.
up.
King Ralph situation, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'd love to be that Kiefer Sutherland
right.
character.
Or Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
Oh wow, yes.
I'm
don't know if
still
I'm quite that
stunned that they have not made that into a movie yet.
Well, I mean, especially like
Either Debt of Honor or Executive Orders, either one of those.
Well, the thing about it is that now it would look like they were copying Designated Survivor, even though they originated the idea.
But the writing was so much better.
Oh,
I've always been a fucking massive Tom Clancy.
I couldn't get, like, I liked Designated Survivor for like 3 episodes, and then
it got a little preachy.
Well, and the whole Maggie Quinn, whatever her name is, the really hot woman, but her plot line was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I'm shallower than you guys, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, fair. I did like, so that's an interesting thing, because we can certainly talk about, our stranger in the presidency takes. I did like in Dave when he brought in
Beth, that's a great.
his friend to clear up the tax code.
Yes, I love it.
I mean,
he brings him in to just work the budget. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. But the problem was, like, hand him the Pentagon budget and have, like, how is that going to work? Because
exactly,
I mean, they've failed 7 audits in a row now. So
yeah. At least if
yeah,
the ones they've had.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have Pentagon audits here in the next few years. So
no. I mean, at this point in time, it's so taken away from being able to really, limit the government in any way, shape, or form. The fact that Trump actually did propose to get rid of the debt ceiling entirely is just crazy to me.
Who would have thought? These are supposed to be conservative fiscal Republicans.
Oh my God.
And they want to do away with the debt ceiling?
Right. And there was something about
people are insane.
Trump put out about Medicare and guarantee, like the 51st state for Canada. They said, well, the healthcare would be expanded to all. Like, wait a minute, did the Republicans just Donald Trump propose socialized medicine across the United States?
Right. And what's
well, and they've got a trend. I mean, look at the second term of Bush W. Medicare for all. He expanded it so greatly. Who would have ever thought he would have done that?
B or part, whatever the prescription drug benefit. Yeah.
We did neglect to mention one primary candidate, Chris Christie, who
Yeah. I mean,
Ah,
there are
had a
still
moment.
Republicans out there
Yep,
that are still never Trumpers. Your Adam Kinzinger, your Chris Christie, Asa Hutchinson.
right.
I think I didn't see him bending a knee
That's
to it, but it didn't really matter. Asa Hutchinson had like 0.2%
well,
of
right,
the
and
vote.
and then
So
and then he gets injured in the first game of the season for the Lions, and now, wait, that's Aiden Hutchinson. Sorry.
yeah,
Um,
Pete Hegseth.
well
thank you.
done.
Pete Hegseth is going to be disappointed when he gets to Virginia and realizes that all of the liquor is at an ABC store.
Right, which it's interesting. I did see Fetterman today say that he is going to have an open mind about Hegseth and other people,
Ugh,
which is kind of
Hmm.
weird.
it
I
is.
suspect it's going to be a weird political climate because of the way things are sort of breaking regarding foreign policy,
Yeah.
Ukraine, but also
What's up, your fave American?
yo,
Got somebody
uh,
from Kick right on.
yeah, like, click, and subscribe,
Yeah,
kick
absolutely.
people. Um, there's because Middle East is obviously going to be, a pretty big topic in terms of what's happening.
Yeah.
Trump is going to be. Uh, it was interesting. We were talking about it the other day. I think it was on a different show. The
Oh,
Yeah,
fine,
cheating
fine.
on
You're on a
us.
different
I,
show.
I
All right,
Cheat.
fine. We're
we're,
second
we're
banana.
we're in an
I
open
get it.
relationship. Um, the
Dan.
but we're talking about the fact that the anti the only group that really actually stayed loyal to Biden was the Jewish vote. They voted 80%, same as they'd voted for Biden before. Every other group left.
Interesting.
And then this idea that
Yeah.
there was going to be an exodus of anti-Israeli voters away from Biden never materialized.
Hmm.
Jill Stein, like, they were saying, oh, she's going to do really well in Michigan, which was supposed to be the strength. She got 0.8%.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But now we're in this scenario where, like, Fetterman, Fetterman's thinking he's an Israel guy, and so he's thinking that there's a favor to be curried there. And look at all these kick people.
Kicking it, man. Kicking it. Right
Yeah,
on.
kicking it old school.
Welcome. Welcome.
What
So,
is what is kick?
Kick is a gaming platform. It's more for gaming platform.
Is it like
Um,
Twitch?
yeah, kind of in that
Is
same
this the part where we're supposed to
Twitch.
stream Red Dead Redemption?
Yeah,
Okay,
or Starfield or something along those lines.
I know nothing about Kick.
I did get my Steam replay. My number one game was The Long Dark again, which is just fantastic.
Very
Uh,
nice.
and then RimWorld again, number two. But all right, let's go back to the things in the last year. We had a lot of crazy weather in the last year.
Yeah, we've had storms. I do kind of want to focus on stuff that happened the first half of the year because we got
Okay, yeah, let's keep
next
going.
week. We've got the second half of 2024 when everything starts to get really heated up with the election and heated up with the weather too. So, I mean, we did
Yep.
have some large fires earlier in the year that scorched a ton of earth. Um, you know, uh,
Uh,
what was it,
Biden,
El Nino or La Nina? I can never tell you. I think it's La Nina this year. It was El Nino last year.
Dennis Leary has a great line about that. He's like, El Nino one year, La Nina the second year. He's like, guys, but it's going to be worse because that family sounds like there's more than two children.
But yeah, I mean, of course, it's talking about the temperature of the ocean. which has impact on American weather, especially out west. But yeah, the torrential rains towards
Right.
the end of last year that really flooded a lot of California, and then
Yep.
benefit of that is that you didn't have as big of a fire risk as you normally have in the California um, in
Yep.
California as you normally would. But yeah, it was a rough year for weather all around the around the United States.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember now back to the beginning of the year the other things that are happening. I've got a little cheat sheet in
Oh
front of me.
yeah, uh, January 5th, right at the beginning of the year, Alaska Airlines flying over Portland, I believe, it was over the Pacific Northwest.
The
Door
door.
blows off,
Yeah.
rips a
pilots-
dude's shoes off and a cell phone. They find the cell phone, iPhone. It was great advertising for iPhone because it fell and
And it survived the
it
fall.
worked. Yeah, it survived the
Right.
fall.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
it wasn't shooting video while it
It was
fell,
a
but
bad year for Boeing because that leads to basically grounding the 737 Max
right.
airline,
Which had other problems along the way.
yeah.
It is. I mean, it's worth mentioning the fact that as bad as those problems were, somebody landed that plane. There is,
Yeah.
if you've watched the Sully movie and a couple other ones.
Have you watched Executive Decision?
That's
with Kurt Russell. No. Yeah. It is. He's
that the Tom
trying to
Clancy one?
land a plane that's been hijacked. A phenomenal movie.
I don't think I have.
Oh, you should check it out. It's exciting. It's well done. Kurt
still
Russell and even better, Halle Berry.
Oh,
Right.
hey. I did not see that movie. I mean, I remember what was it, Air Force One with
That was good.
Harrison Ford.
That was good too.
Yeah. The skill level of pilots, even flying commercial airlines, is still just extraordinary in the United States.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
And they talk about that, because they'd had these Super 8 crashes around the world,
Yes.
several, and apparently that was all
Steven
pilot
Seagal's
error, except that it required a very sophisticated level of pilot to not make those errors. And so American trained pilots had been able to cope with those things that had crashed planes in Africa and South America and other places.
Well, the problem with the Boeing planes that crashed in Africa, it was a cheap part that Boeing had installed in their altimeter, I think, that gave them wrong readings, and they couldn't. It was telling him the plane was diving when it wasn't, and they were having issues.
You don't want bad equipment in your bad readings in your altimeter. Let me tell you.
No, I don't want bad readings anywhere on the plane.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a very rough year for Boeing, and this happened a little bit later in the year, but not just on terra firma or in the atmosphere, but their Boeing spacecraft is still stuck to. Well, I don't. Did they eject it finally? But their Boeing Starliner, I believe it was called, was fired up to the International Space Station. It was only supposed to be like a week-long trip, and the astronauts are still there.
Still there.
Well, they're due to come back February.
Right.
They are due to, but that.
First of all, the fact that they had named that particular Starliner the SS Minnow should have been a Cleety.
I didn't know that, Dan.
I made that up,
They
Joe.
named
That's
it
not
the
true.
Minnow.
That's not true. But
Thank you.
It was supposed to be a 3-hour tour, and
It was, but it ended up being 8 months.
But yeah,
Wow.
I saw this. Somebody was trying to do a conspiracy theory about the astronauts, the two that were stranded up there at the International Space Station. They were like, there was like a picture of them with Santa hats, and their Santa hats pointing directly up, and they were like, oh, they had Santa hats. They knew they were going to be there for 6 months, and it's like, don't you think maybe they already had Santa hats on the International Space Station for such an occasion? It wasn't that they brought it up there with them, but yeah,
Truly.
Yeah.
the
Let's see.
flirters are
There was another big thing, right? SpaceX launched the largest rocket ever, right?
Mhm.
Beginning of
Yeah.
last year. I can't remember what the hell it was called.
Is this the one that you said? Are you
part of the Artemis
alluding
project.
to it coming back and them catching it by those jaws of death?
No, that was a different thing. They launched
Ah.
a giant rocket. Here it is. First Starship. The Starship. They called it Starship. But it was destroyed in reentry.
Because they'd gone from Jefferson Airplane to Jefferson Starship, and then they had to go to
Right.
Starship.
Yeah.
So so they launched it, and yeah, I mean that's in the Mars cycle, but also in the return.
Well, that's actually part of the first the big trips that are planned for late this year or early next year. I think it's early next year, for the Artemis missions to get to the moon,
Yeah.
to circumnavigate the moon and then come back. Eventually the hope is that that they'll be able to transition this from a moon-based mission to a Mars-based mission. The interesting, we can talk more about this next time with post-election stuff. Elon Musk's influence on the next administration. What happens with NASA? Does it become a vassal state of SpaceX?
Right.
Things like that.
Let's talk about that. It's always been NASA since the late 50s, right?
Mhm.
And we've relied on them. We've respected them, whether we liked their funding or not. But I always point out to people, when things change, that's often a very, very natural business cycle. And here's what I'm going to use as an example of that. So I'm driving back yesterday with my wife after seeing our granddaughters, okay? And we stop somewhere, we grab a great meal, and my wife says to me, before we go on home, do you want to stop over here at Penny's so I can do some shopping? And I'm like, what? There's a Penny's here? In this day and age? And sure enough, there it was. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So she's shopping around and I'm in Penny's, just being the the tag along husband. And I'm looking at Google and I'm saying to myself, okay, how many Penny's stores are left? How many? And I Googled that. I said, how many Penny's and Sears stores are left?
0 Sears.
Hold on. Now, I worked for Sears all through college, and I took my first full-time job with them before I jumped into public accounting. They were the world's largest store, Sears.
Yeah.
I looked up Penny's. I'm standing in one. How many Penny's are in the United States? And the number was, now mind you, they used to be the second largest store in the freaking world.
Yep.
Yeah.
652 stores.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah,
imagine?
there's one at the Hagerstown Mall, which is close to me, but I don't think I've ever stepped foot in it.
There you go. So then I looked up, well, how many Sears stores are left nationwide? 12. 12.
Yeah.
This was
I'm surprised
store in the
they're actually
world.
still
It was
around.
12. So all these
There is
things
one
are
Blockbuster still
natural
open.
progression is all I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
There
is one Blockbuster still open. So
seriously?
The one in Alaska.
yeah, no, it's not in Alaska. I think it's in Oregon.
But yeah, it wasn't part of the chain.
Can you imagine?
And I think there are a couple that might.
Yep.
Yeah, there are a couple that might be in Mexico. Last article I read on that, there are a couple that were in Mexico, and then there's one in Oregon that you can actually rent. It's on, I think, Airbnb. but you can
Hmm.
rent it out for
Okay.
yourself for a night.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. So
No idea. Hmm.
yeah,
There
things
are
things
11
change. I mean,
Sears stores left
you
now,
know,
which
Daryl
is
or
crazy to me.
what was
Well,
the
we
talked
sometimes
about the Big Lots and Party City are both going under.
I saw Party
Um,
City called it a
yeah,
day, which
Right,
means
right.
my wife will
they're
be
zero.
severely disappointed in Big Lots.
I don't know
Did
what
Big
Big Lots
Lots?
did.
Did I hear you there, Dave? Did Big
That's
Lots?
what Daryl put up here. Big Lots
Yeah,
and
Big
Party
Lots
City are both
also
going out of
closed.
business.
Yeah.
Um, we got one close to us. They've got like a mix between like a grocery and a lot of home decor. Um, uh, you know, it's a you can get like a cheap sofa or armchair or something like that. There's just a variety of crap that you can get there. The one thing I didn't like about Big Lots, and I guess they were desperate for money, but they were open all day on Thanksgiving Day.
Really?
Wow.
They didn't
Yeah,
send their people home. They made them work.
we had to work from 7 to 10, I
Oh,
think.
brutal, brutal.
Yeah,
Go home. Be with your families, please.
yeah, just one day a year. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, but I will say, uh, I used to always work when I worked. I used to work as staff at a psychiatric hospital. Obviously, the hospital is open 24/7.
Hmm.
I would always happily work Christmas because, right, not a big deal. So maybe they found a way for like to have
So
staff who don't celebrate.
Mm.
it's a
I mean,
little different.
Thanksgiving isn't
It's a
isn't
retail
secular,
though.
but
Like
yeah,
if I mean, if Thanksgiving was a massive psychiatric holiday, which yes, we do have more problems around the holidays, but retail, anybody. I mean, we saw back a few years ago when the idea of moving Black Friday up within that Thanksgiving day, starting getting a lot of backlash.
Mhm.
Um, it's difficult to see that and I do get that some people are perfectly okay with working on Thanksgiving
Oh,
Day, but
sure.
a lot of times retail, like my wife did retail for several years, and she would get, it wasn't an option to not work on Thanksgiving. It was, you have to
right,
work on this day because it's a big day of the year. Like
Sure.
it's a massive cash cow, and they need the help. Um, so, I mean, that's the difficult thing is like if you can get volunteers to do it, that's great. If you're in a position where that volunteer help can do it, great. But if you're in a position where you're making people sacrifice their family time just to, um, get 3 more hours
Well,
of holiday traffic, that in the grand scheme of things, yeah, you could wait until Black Friday to start the sale.
yeah,
absolutely right. And you need to cut your people a break. Uh, but like you said, if you have people that have no problem working that day, that's great.
Yeah. Another thing that really ran throughout the entire year is the continued conflicts in both Ukraine and Gaza.
Well,
The Gaza one expanded to an extent. Like early in the year, the stories coming up about the refugee agency there in Gaza actually had people supporting the October 7th um,
participating in it.
attack,
hmm,
participating in it, and
Yeah,
caused the early in January they United States suspended support of the refugee agency
yeah, UNRWA or
UNRWA.
however you would want to say it,
you
Raw.
know, had
UNWRA.
had Gaza never done that invasion, that incursion, this would have all been so much more simple. And it does nothing for finding support for Gaza. It's a shame. They literally shot themselves in the foot. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I do think that I suspect that there's going to be a ceasefire relatively soon. Uh, I
Yeah, I
think
can see
that
that.
yeah, first of all senior Hamas leadership is now dead,
Yeah.
and Trump is coming in, and Trump is going to be much more militaristic in supporting Israel. And I think looking at the larger picture too, Israel essentially broke Iran, and
Yeah. Oh yeah.
a
Iran is so isolated right now.
yeah,
Um,
a
you've
battle of
lost
puppets. It is interesting that
Hezbollah, you've lost Hamas, you've lost Assad.
yeah,
Iran is increasingly isolated,
well, and it's
and their
interesting
government is
because
unstable right now.
with the Houthis firing that hypersonic missile that hit Tel Aviv yesterday or the day before, um, and obviously the Houthis are Iranian allies as well.
Yeah.
I kind of
Yeah.
wonder though if the Iranians are like, "Oh yeah, that was a really good usage of one of our last great missiles. Uh,
Yeah.
we could have saved it for something else."
Well,
I
I
don't
think
know, and
if they can get the it's a dumb way to reason, but if they can get the heat off themselves versus
yeah,
Israel firing its missiles into Yemen,
right.
that
Well,
saves them, but
it,
that's not going to help in the long term.
right, but in the end, actually, it ends up uh, with the U.S. being the one who responds against the Houthis,
Yeah.
because the Houthis, in addition to everything else, just were randomly attacking ships traveling down the through the Suez,
Yeah.
and so that's why the other nations ended up getting involved. And that was just clusterfuck, but it is. Yeah, I think the end is around the corner. I'm not sure what the peace will look like, but I suspect it's going to have something to do with some of the Arab nations coming in and making a different version of
Yeah.
Gaza.
Yeah.
Hopefully,
Absolutely.
hopefully something better for everybody. Um, there's it's worth mentioning that we did the first cross species permanent cross species implant. A
Oh,
man
the
in
big thing.
yeah got
I thought we had done
kidney.
pig implants before.
So we had done them as temporary measures with the idea that we replace them. This was going to be permanent. However, the guy who got the implant died 7 weeks later.
Well, that's
Um,
kind of permanent.
yeah, it's pretty permanent.
That wasn't very nice. That was not very
Damn.
nice of me.
yeah,
How do you guys
and
stand me? I don't know.
We've said worse here.
yeah, that's definitely true. Um, so that was interesting. Um, I do think that someday it'll be bigger as we learn to deal with organ rejection and other
Yeah.
things. That you'll see more of that stuff come along. I I have always said, I am looking forward to the day that we can go the opposite direction and put human feet onto pigs
There you go.
because then they will be kosher and I can eat bacon and it's a good
Wow,
thing.
Dad. Wow.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you could
I
eat
get
the vegan bacon, man, if you want to.
well, so there is a big debate right now among Jews who keep kosher, and I don't. I don't keep kosher, but is the best cheeseburger the vegan cheese and real beef, or the Impossible beef and real cheese?
Hmm.
And I know people who take both sides of it. Um,
I've had vegan cheese before, and it's awful. That is a war crime.
I've heard that it's pretty bad. Have you had the Impossible Burger?
I've had Impossible Burgers. In fact, I don't after my surgery. I don't really do beef really well. Like I mean, I
Interesting.
eat beef. I'll suffer, but I've eaten the Impossible Burger a few times from Burger King, and it's not
Was it
bad. I don't
satisfying?
mind it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, it wasn't bad.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I mean,
Uh,
I've had I was like experimenting, and I was like, well, um, after Aaliyah came home and we're like, let's do some, more healthy stuff, and I got vegan cheese and for tacos, and it was,
Terrible. Yeah.
I wanted to punch things. It was just,
Yep.
I will eat cheese. I will eat regular cheese from now on.
Yeah.
No
Well,
regrets. No
I mean,
regrets.
there certainly
No
are cheeses that
regrets.
are healthier than other cheeses,
Yeah,
too, and you can be smarter about some of that stuff. I also am a person who loves cheese. Um,
it's all Gouda to me.
nice. The Maryland Bridge got knocked over.
Oh God,
Remember?
yeah. I
The
was
the Key Bridge.
Yeah, it
Yep.
was I was taking Aaliyah the opposite direction to for a doctor's appointment in Morgantown. We're having car trouble, so I had to rent a car from, and I just saw a bunch of missed notifications on Facebook about um, this is why I never go on bridges. And I was shocked. It was like 9 o'clock, and I looked and I saw the video, and how quickly that thing came down. I mean, it was like it wasn't even. It was like it's like a a football team running through the banner
Yeah.
at the beginning of the game. That was,
It
I
just
mean,
tumbled.
What
essentially I think the banner has more resistance than the
the other
bridge.
thing that's really crazy is that two people survived who
Yeah.
were on the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's just insane to me. But I guess it just goes to show you, you know, we are we
uh,
are weird. I don't know, Daryl, about platypus custard. I did see Jackie's post about that earlier.
hmm.
Um,
Um,
the
let's talk about E. Jean Carroll.
Right. Well, let's talk about EJ Carroll, and because Stephanopoulos just settled the case, right?
Yeah, yeah. ABC News settled a case. I think it was in the designation of what they called what Trump was convicted of,
They right
rape
they
versus
right
sexual
they
assault.
said that he was convicted of rape, and he was convicted of sexual assault, and so they're now paying him
But
$15 million.
but even though he's a convicted rapist, let's elect this guy. What a
Right.
great idea, huh?
Well, let me just point out here is because we don't want to get sued for $15 million.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, no,
No, it
it's
wasn't
not
even
even
allegedly.
allegedly. It's yeah,
It's that it
exactly.
was sexual
It's
assault, not rape.
exactly sexual assault and not rape. Um,
Although
the
sue me and I will give you all of my debt. You can have it.
Exactly right. Well, that and let me point out, I'm on other shows. Dave is the financially liable for all the content of this one. So we have, but it is, $83 million he had to pay. He has to
Yeah.
pay to her um, for maligning her, right? For saying
Yes.
that nothing happened. Uh, although it is interesting in that, there is, as far as I understand it, no evidence other than testimony. Now, he contradicted himself on the stand several times when he said he didn't know her and there was proof that that he did, and stuff like that. And so he ended up coming across as a liar.
Yeah.
And that was the basis of the conviction.
I wonder if
Another thing
anyone's surprised by that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so either.
No.
and another thing we can talk about is that, several cases against Donald Trump failed because the Biden administration took so long
Yeah,
to bring, and it was a political move. I think years from now, people will study this election, and the absolute errors of the Biden administration are going to be shocking.
yeah,
The fact that they sat on January 6th and the documents and all of that stuff, hoping for this to come out during an election to hopefully influence the election. The better play would have been to get the convictions, put him in jail, and he wouldn't been running for president anyway.
right.
Mhm.
I mean, it is interesting that he was never tried, never charged with sedition,
Yes.
Should have
or
been.
it,
Should have been.
I think they should have tried him. I don't know that they would have won.
I don't know that they would have won either. I think there was
Yeah,
enough wiggle room there, but
right. Because
uh,
right, that's the thing about it. At no point in time is he in front of the mob saying, "Storm the Congress,
yeah,
kill everybody inside," anything like that. I mean,
it would
it's
have been
veiled
fascinating to
them.
get the discovery from the people. I mean, we did see the January 6th testimony and all
Sure,
that stuff from the committee and everything, but to actually get discovery to see, what were the transcripts of the
the text
discussions between
messages,
between the president and the Secret Service,
right,
and what did he say to them?
right.
That would
You
have
know,
been a fascinating
I will say too,
trial.
one of the other things about it that I thought was very disappointing was, that they weren't able to get in the DC Guard because of the way the DC Guard had been put under control of the the DC Guard is under control of the federal government because the federal
Yeah,
government controls everything about DC. But in 1975, uh, when Nixon was removed from power, right, 73, 75.
75.
73. 74. Sorry, it was August 9th of 74.
Okay. 75 is Fall of Saigon.
Yeah,
Okay, so then the governors of Virginia and Maryland agreed to call up their guards if Nixon won't leave the White House, even though it's questionable whether or not their National Guards can operate in Washington, D.C.
that's true.
But I think that probably could have happened in this on January 6th, but it didn't. So for sure, Merrick Garland should have thrown everything they had at
Yeah,
Trump early. I don't think that they could make this edition stick. It's really tough.
I think they could have gotten him on some lesser charges.
Yes, I
The
agree with
fact
that.
that we never got to that,
Yeah, it
they
just
were able
never
to
even
run the
got there.
clock out on it, essentially.
Yeah,
Uh,
well, and now, right, Trump's going to pardon all the. I
yeah,
mean, I can't imagine he's going to pardon the really worst of the worst. I mean, maybe he might. God, I hope not. I'm hoping, maybe he's going to commute some sentences.
Who
But
do you think again?
Tariq, the Proud Boys founder,
God, I
the
hope that guy stays in.
3%er guy.
Yeah.
Okay,
I mean,
Yeah, I
those
mean,
guys, the
I'm going
ones
to
who
ask you
killed.
this. So,
Yeah.
at one point, Trump promised on his first day
Yeah.
to pardon Ross Ulbricht.
yeah,
And all these libertarians that I thought were hardcore all of a sudden jumped to Trump. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
he had
This
4
guy's-
years to do it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he said day one. Now, if he does it on day, 10,006, whatever the number is, that ain't the same. And if he doesn't pardon the guy on day one, he's lied to them. And I can't believe they didn't see right through it.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I hope it happens.
Me too. I don't think it will.
I don't think it will either. I mean, I know that there are people also lobbying for a Snowden pardon, which
Mhm.
would be more complicated because obviously Snowden is probably a political prisoner. If he were to be pardoned in the United States, I can't imagine that Putin would release him. But
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well,
But
I mean, he didn't do it in the first 1,460 days of his presidency.
yeah,
And
exactly.
he could
I'm
have.
not putting anything. If 1461 comes around and he doesn't pardon Ross Ulbricht, then I'm not surprised. We can talk a little bit about the dumpster fire that was the 2024 Libertarian National Convention.
Yeah, it was
How
pretty crazy because it was
poorly
May,
it was
first half of the
run.
year.
Yeah, how poorly it was run. How I mean,
Everything.
you have
I mean,
Donald Trump addressing the convention. You have
But it
Robert
was a-
Kennedy
it-
running for
it was a clusterfuck on everybody's part
Yeah.
because the opposition, and I, numbered myself in the opposition, we didn't do a good job either.
No.
You know,
Not especially in the at-large vote.
yeah, the at-large vote or in right, the at-large vote was just stupid. They are completely, the Mises candidates won because they only nominated 5,
Yep.
and somebody put for the at-large circulated a seat of 10, and so votes were split among all of those people, and that was just stupid.
Yeah.
But also, there was a point where there was a majority of right-minded people in the hall, and we let them delay and delay and delay until Friday night. Right, things come to session.
It was Saturday night, Sunday morning.
Well, so they started coming in right Friday night. There's a
Oh, yeah.
majority of let's just say prags for one thing, as exemplified from the fact that they were not able to change the minutes. They're not able to change the order at that point in time. So if we'd done it right, we might have been able to call for the vote for chair right then, and possibly won.
Well, the dumb thing, and I've said this since they passed the bylaw to do it, was changing the order of the convention to where the president and vice president would move to the end after
Right.
the party office votes.
Right.
You're there to nominate a president and vice presidential candidate, and then do your party offices because nobody really gives a shit about. I mean, there are people who give a shit about the party offices, but the thing you're there to do is to set yourself up for the fall campaign,
Yeah.
because that's what you're going to be fundraising off of, and it was
Well,
such a disaster
right.
from stem to stern.
Yep. And we also had just this disastrous Mises candidate who
Rectal warts, yeah.
yeah. I mean, now the thing about it is that Mike Tremont, who gets campaigning for a year until
Yeah.
they said no, and they advanced Tremont advanced Rechtenwald because Tremont wasn't going to be a toady. He wasn't going to be a
Oh, yeah.
patsy and give all the
Michael
money
Heist.
to the people who can do it.
Michael Heiss wasn't going to
Exactly.
be his campaign manager, and Michael
Exactly.
Heiss couldn't control Mike Tremont. And we have problems with Mike Tremont. I mean, we had him on the show. And
Yeah.
again, if you're a libertarian candidate thinking about running for president, get on the show, because the two candidates we had on
Right.
the show were Chase Oliver and Mike
Tremont,
Tremont.
and they won the nomination.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they won
I
the
mean,
nomination. So get on the show if you want to be.
right. I mean, it's of the 1,200 voting members of the delegation, over 1,000 said that we were the most influential podcast that they
That's
listened
right.
to,
That's right.
according to my informal polling. So this is the show to be on. It was everything about it was just broken, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, and it's only gotten worse since then. We'll delve deeper
Yeah,
into
the party's gotten worse. I have started to reluctantly think, though, that maybe it is worth the effort to try to take the party back. I don't know. Maybe
plowed enough money and time and mental space.
I hear that. I hear that, and I see. I have friends. Breonna Coyle has joined the Democratic Party and is working for liberty inside there. We have lots of friends who are working inside the Republican Party. Really on an idea
the
of
Liberal Party. We got
a bunch
there
of
are options out there.
right? Yeah. And so I don't know. I don't know. You know what I really want to do? I'm just going to make a lot of money first, and then I'll do
Yeah,
that other thing of air. Zayden, we're going to kick
1,500
up
followers.
1,500 followers.
If I get 1,500 followers, I'm
Wait,
streaming
wait,
it
wait,
full.
wait. It doesn't make any sense to increase subs and not increase DOMs at the same time. Come on,
This is
Zayden.
true. This is
Come on,
true.
Zayden.
I'm not going to kink shame. I'm just going to kink ask why.
Yeah, nice. Speaking of which, let's talk about Kentucky, right? And the special thing that they bring, the KY jelly.
The Kentucky jelly.
Exactly.
Yes, we know pirates. Pirates too. A good friend of the show, Drew Bingaman, is the national chair of the pirate party. I've got a soft spot for the pirates. They nominated
me
Vermin
too.
Supreme as their presidential candidate this year.
Did they get on the ballot anywhere?
I
A few
think there were a
places.
couple of states that they got on the ballot because the ballot access requirements are a little lax. And I think they got on in a couple of states where they weren't on the pirate line. There wasn't a pirate party in the state, but they got on another party. Like
That's interesting.
Minnesota has like a marijuana party that I think Berman was the candidate for.
Now, the one other thing that was big in the beginning of the year, and in many ways, I thought that instead of Donald Trump, the person of the year was going to be artificial intelligence. Because famously, right, the computer was person of the year one year, a while ago. But, AI is so much bigger than that was. And I don't think people realize, how much stuff is happening now that AI is just rapidly changing.
Yeah. Somebody posted I think a picture or requested Grok to generate a picture of a sad, depressed Buffalo Sabres fan, and I was like, you don't need Grok for that. I'm right here. I'm like,
Well, so it's funny you say that because Sora, which is the Chat GPT video, I asked it to generate. I can play it if you want, or I can give you the link for it. I asked it to generate a movie of a giraffe walking at the Dome of the Rock. Scary good. Scary good. Let me find it. I'll send you the link so that you can play it.
all right. But yeah, it's been the first half of the year. In fact, I'll dip into July for one thing. I think it puts a shadow over everything that came forward from that day. But on my birthday, the Supreme Court came out with a decision to essentially grant the president unlimited powers. The Trump decision was essentially anything can be declared an official act. And if it's an official act, then he faces
essentially saying that the president, while in office, has almost unlimited power. Now, I mean, there is still. You don't think so?
No. I'm like, it's asking me to sign in.
Oh, I can share my screen.
Yeah.
Let me just share here.
Congress is supposed to have its powers to check the president. It seems that in recent decades, Congress has decided to just check itself at the door and let the president have its way.
It's abdicated so many of its responsibilities. Let me get to this screen. Try to turn off the chattage. Okay, and then we will share. Come on. There we go.
So this is exactly. I asked AI to generate a giraffe at the Dome of the Rock. This is it.
And there it is.
Yeah. Pretty fast. I mean, like
the only thing,
the only thing I'll say about it is that obviously you're not allowed to walk in shorts in a mosque.
Yeah.
And a few other little things like that. But overall, this is really excellent for not much.
The scary thing
for AI.
Yep.
The scary thing with this is that we're going to get to a point, and I know that we've had points where fake videos are coming out, and it's hard to tell, you know, whether they're genuine or not, and what they will lead to. Will it lead to somebody getting falsely convicted? Will it lead to a presidential candidate having to drop out of their election? There
Right.
are so many different ways that AI
No,
could have negative consequences.
I suspect that what's going to happen is that very quickly people are going to say, we don't believe anything.
Yeah,
We don't believe. I mean, it's like right now, if somebody were to hand you a printed document that was, on a computer printed paper, would you say, oh, yeah, that's official evidence of something? Of course not. Like anybody's got access to a printer that
yeah,
can, create words and stuff like that. Video is going to be like that. And that's where my company, realreport.com, is, well positioned, that the only real videos out there are ones that have all sorts of extra authentication that go along
yeah,
with them.
yeah,
Because, we're one of the things that we're going to do next year is sponsor a prize. Fingers crossed we need to get a partner with us, but we're going to give away $25,000 to the person who can create the best fake video. They have to
But
show us the fake and then show us how they made it.
so let me ask you this: if something can be put out there, is it not within the realm of possibility that we clearly identify that it's not real, it's AI, so that we can simply at least disregard it?
You you can't without no. I mean the short answer is no. You
Really?
can't. Yeah, you can't look at the video file and tell that it's fake.
No, no,
The
no, no.
best.
I didn't say whether or not I can tell it's fake.
Yeah,
What I'm saying is, if it is fake, should it not be identified as generated by AI so that I can ignore it?
I mean,
but
you're going to have anybody who can
yes, but why
code
would the people
a
who want to fool you do that?
yeah, yeah,
I'm
code
saying that, man, maybe I'm not conveying myself well here. I guess I want to know what's real. I want to know what's authentic. And
I
So
mean, I'm AI, so
the
y'all have
only
been fooled.
the only way you can do that is to have something that you trust, and obviously, you can't trust the internet. Uh, and in order to have
Wait,
a
you can't
higher
trust
level
the
of
internet?
trust, you can't trust the internet. In order to have a
I
higher
don't,
level of
Damn it!
trust,
I do not understand what you're
My life
saying.
is over.
Abraham Lincoln said,
right? Abraham Lincoln said that 98% of the internet is fake.
That's right.
Um, there, that's but that's where we're going. We talk about this. We live in a post-truth world,
Yep.
we do.
and trying to evaluate what is actually true is, I'll say it again. That's sort of, what my
I
company is trying to do with the Real
All right,
Report.
And we've been
let's
set up
try
with
this.
the fake news too, with Donald Trump. I mean, yeah, Donald Trump's right. He could walk down the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot someone in the head and not be convicted of it because everyone would assume that that was AI
He,
generated video.
he shot that healthcare executive.
All
Oh,
right,
but
No, that was
you know,
Ted
I
Cruz.
have, I have to say this now. I am very strongly, I don't want to say convinced, but I feel pretty strongly that Luigi did not do it now,
all right.
because he was found with the gun. And that is actually the only thing that they can link him to the crime with. They
Did
don't have
they
any
also
physical
say he
evidence.
had a manifesto with him?
The manifesto is crazy.
I got a manifesto.
Yeah, exactly. And it
Well,
could,
It's about M and M's and
yeah, exactly. And you
turpentine.
could,
But
you're right, right. There's all sorts of crazy things, but it's the gun. And
all
so
right.
why, in this thing that was so carefully planted, would he keep the gun. And I'll tell you why. It's because he didn't do it. The actual shooter gave Luigi the gun later. And then Luigi went off, but it's going to come out during the trial. He is going to have an airtight alibi for where he was when the murder happened.
That will be a trip.
Interesting. All right, let's try some others then. So, we're coming up on Christmas, correct, gentlemen? And
Allegedly.
everybody knows that George Washington crossed the Delaware, and there was the Battle of Trenton, correct?
Yes.
Allegedly.
So, so there's our first president of the United States. My question to you, gentlemen, trivia-wise, is: were there any other future presidents of the United States on that trek in that battle crossing the Delaware?
Oh,
I don't think so.
Dan says, I don't think so. Dave,
I'm
what do you say?
gonna say yes. There was.
You're going to say yes. Can you say who?
No, absolutely not.
Well, I mean, we can go through the list, right? We know it's not John Adams.
No,
We know it's not
not John
Jefferson.
Adams.
Madison is
Now,
in Virginia, so
who'd you
maybe.
skip, though, before you got to Madison? Who'd you
Jefferson.
skip?
No, I said Jefferson. Jefferson's in France.
Well, Jefferson's not it either.
Well, Washington, Adams, Jefferson, Madison, Monroe, John Quincy Adams, Andrew Jackson, Martin Van Buren, William Henry Harrison, Tyler, Polk, Taylor, Fillmore. I can name all the presidents in order.
Dan,
Yeah.
you named him.
Okay. Well, I was going in order. Washington, Adams, Jefferson. We said it's not Madison. Monroe is potentially around.
Monroe's the guy.
All right.
Is he?
He
All
was
right.
there. There
All
you
right.
go. He was a very young man. He was in the Battle of Trenton. He was with Washington, and he was ultimately elected to president.
Yeah. He's a
Wow.
Virginian, right?
He was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do I love presidential trivia? You're right. Yes, I do.
I do too. Let me see if I've got a book around here. Can you name the only two Quakers who were presidents?
Oh my, the only two Quakers that were presidents? Dan, can I name them?
Yes.
No, I can't. I have no idea, Dan.
Well, one of them will shock you. Richard Nixon was a Quaker.
Really?
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Really?
Yep. And then Herbert Hoover was also a Quaker.
I didn't know
Huh.
that, Dan.
I
Yep.
did not know
That's
that.
phenomenal.
Speaking of trivia and games, let's do our quiz. Seeing as we're,
Yes,
we're running
let's
out of
do
time.
it.
All right. CNN Weekly News Quiz from December 19th. We've got cellular something. Murder Hornets. Wondering when they make their reappearance on the world
Nice.
stage. And Space, Final Frontier. All right. Question number 1. Which objects have been spotted in the sky across the Northeast prompting an FBI investigation? Satellites, meteors, drones, or balloons?
Well, I want to say that I don't think any of these things have actually been accurately spotted. We said this. Did we say this last week or no? I was on this in another salon. But in today's world,
Dan, you're on so many shows. We can't keep up with you.
I-
We're just little.
Well,
He's internationally known. And he's
in a
also
different
known to rock the
conversation,
microphone.
nice job, Adam. In today's world, if there is not a good picture of the drones, I don't believe it. I don't believe there are any drones.
I don't believe. I agree with you.
I think they've been identified as drones, so that's
Yes.
probably what the answer is. But yeah, numerous drone sightings have put pressure on federal agencies to provide more information about the mysterious aircraft. Officials have urged calm and emphasized that there is no evidence suggesting the sightings pose a security threat. I'm wondering who's doing it, but I mean, I think the concern really is, if this stuff drifts into FAA airspace. I think that was the concern that that the drones were close enough to the, Newark, LaGuardia, JFK airspace that it would cause a concern. But I don't know. I don't think these were like the big predator drones that you see across the Middle East. These are probably little handheld ones that you can just launch from your hand. All right. Question number 2. America's first severe case of bird flu was confirmed this week in which state? Kansas, Nebraska, Louisiana, or Ohio?
H5N1. It's a big deal.
H5N1.
Yep. And I'll go ahead and tell. It's it's Louisiana. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Louisiana, the biggest
But
port.
this is the reason why it's so significant is that this flu has jumped to 2 different species, and we don't see that you can have human to human transmission, but you can have bird to human transmission, and livestock cows are getting it, and so that is a big deal. It's potentially a bigger deal. Unfortunately, we shot our wad on what we would do to in the case of a pandemic. So
Yeah, getting that genie
yeah,
back out of the bottle, I guess.
yeah, it's not going to happen. But so it is Louisiana, and that's a pretty big deal. And
Yeah.
we could be H5N1 could be the story of 2025.
Oh, Christ, I hope not. But I mean, I feel like ever since Harambe was shot, I think that ended the global simulation. We just don't know that we're dead yet.
Interesting.
Question number 3. Which social media app is facing potential ban in the US on January 19th? TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or Snappy Chat?
Tickety tock,
Tickety Tock and the Chinese chicken.
hickory dickory dock. The mouse ran up the clock.
I mean,
Clock
I
struck
have
the
all
room.
kinds of problems with this legislation,
That's right. Yeah,
and
that's
the
stupid.
forced sale of it. Like, they're like the concerns about the Chinese knowing our intricate TikTok dances, and
Yeah,
it's, to me, I don't care what the Chinese have on me.
yeah,
You know, I'm more concerned about what Meta and Twitter or X and all these other platforms have given the federal government on me.
yeah,
I'm more concerned about that.
yeah. No, I completely agree.
Question number 4. Which Supreme Court justice recently fulfilled another one of her life's goals by appearing in a Broadway show? Amy
Oh,
Coney Barrett, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Elena Kagan, or Sonia Sotomayor?
I have no idea.
I read this one. I thought it was so cool that she was in a musical. Can I think of who it was? I'm drawing a blank. This is so
I
cool.
think it was Ketanji Brown Jackson.
She
I'm
seems the
going to
most
agree
likely
with
to
you.
me. I mean, I
I'm going
know
to agree with you.
Amy Coney Barrett is
Yep.
against music. Um,
Yeah, I don't think she's going to be at a Broadway show.
yeah. Daryl also
Our
says
resident lawyer,
Jackson.
Daryl Perry, says Jackson.
Yep. Action Jackson.
Great minds think alike. Ketanji Brown Jackson took the stage in a one-night performance of Anne Juliet on Broadway.
Nice.
Very nice.
Gotta be in the plays and musicals.
Yeah. All right. Question number 5. Which 2 automakers are discussing a possible merger? Ford and Toyota, Honda and Nissan, Tesla and Volkswagen, or Hyundai and Kia?
Well,
I have not heard
Hyundai
it.
and Kia would make sense, but I haven't heard that they're discussing a merger. They would really make sense since they're basically the same company in Korea.
Exactly. I agree with Joe.
Yeah. So
You know what, Dan? My wife says that so no, she doesn't. No, she doesn't.
So Hyundai and Kia. Oh, Honda and Nissan from Janice.
Well, I heard from Nissan recently, and I drive a Nissan. I love the car.
I just got rid of a Nissan.
I think it's phenomenal quality. I've been driving it for 115,000 miles. Not a problem yet. It drives big, drives
Yep.
quiet. I love the car. And yet I heard one of its executives recently say, we have 12 to 14 months to survive unless we find an investor. And I'm thinking, holy cow, how can you be this good of a car company
Yeah.
and be about to fail?
It's a lot of factors going on. It's a relatively saturated market now.
It's tough to be competitive
and
as an old.
yeah, when you're used to, because Hyundai and Kia are coming up to
Korea
capture.
is Japan of the 80s.
Yeah, it's capturing some of that market share that Nissan and Honda have traditionally had. So, yeah,
Yeah, I will say I had.
we got two Honda Nissan. You want to go that way?
Yeah, let's go
I'm
that way.
stunned. Yeah.
I had Infinity for a long time. I loved
Yeah,
it.
correct.
And
Oh, we should have looked at the context clues up.
I still want
And
a
there's
GTR.
Janice saying my first new car was a
Datsun.
Datsun. That
Datsun
takes you back,
260.
doesn't it?
Man, I remember that car so well. That was a good looking car.
Datsun 240Z. What a
Yep.
car! What a car!
Yep.
What a car!
Yep, I agree.
Yeah. So Japanese automakers Honda and Nissan are in merger talks, but they offered no details or time frame for when a deal, if one should develop, will be completed. So we saw the end of a merger this week too with Albertsons and Kroger. And
Yes.
apparently the Albertsons, which y'all, if you have a Albertsons near you, they've got the best fried chicken. Oh my God. I
Well-
dream of Albertsons fried chicken, but
Let me throw this
Albertsons
at
is
you,
suing
if I may,
Kroger.
Dave. Royal Farms. Royal Farms has
I got one near me.
phenomenal chicken.
No,
Really?
it doesn't even hold a candle to Albertsons chicken.
Okay.
I turned a vegan with Albertsons chicken. The smell of the Albertsons chicken alone turned a vegan. So I will put Albertsons chicken against anybody, even though I haven't had it in like 30 years now. So
Okay. Hats
but I
off
haven't
to you.
had Royal Farms chicken. We've got a Royal Farms just up the road from us. They have ridiculously cheap gas, which is nice. So, question number 6: which Pacific nation was struck by a 7.3 magnitude earthquake this week? Fiji, Palau, Samoa, or Vanuatu?
Wow. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I missed it, but I'm going to guess that it's not Fiji or Samoa because those would be bigger news.
But they do the Humpty Hump.
Yeah.
Palau's too
Yes.
small. I mean,
I'm
it
gonna
seems
guess
like Palau would be
Palau.
too small. Because Palau is just one island.
It is.
So what was the fourth choice?
Vanuatu.
That's it.
I'll go Vanuatu.
Vanuatu?
Yes.
And
Correct.
she's-
7.3. Yes.
That's some good logic there.
And
I'm
she's
amazed
still
they
working
didn't figure
her prices
tsunamis.
right.
Right
No,
on.
the Wheel of Fortune.
Didn't she
and
just
still
retire?
looking really good.
I think
Yeah.
she just retired too.
Yep.
No.
Yeah. Question number 7: which pharmacy chain is facing a lawsuit for allegedly filling illegal opioid prescriptions? I would say all of them, probably.
Yeah. Although I would guess Walgreens just because they're always
CVS, Walgreens, Rite Aid, or Walmart. In West Virginia, the pill mills here. I mean, you had doctors just prescribing millions of opioids. I mean, it was just such a devastating scandal, especially here in West Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of the people within the pharmaceutical industry got slapped on the wrist. That was about as hard as they got it. Daryl says CVS. Any one of these doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Rite Aid, I think, is the trashiest of them all. But
I think Rite Aid's going out of business in most places. We've seen
that's
them
why they
sell
got
out.
to do the drugs.
Yeah.
CVS has too much to lose, I think.
I don't know, man. I've seen people with too much to lose.
Well, Janice
Two
also says
votes.
CVS. All right.
Two
Let's go
votes for CVS. Let's go that route.
Yep.
Oh,
Wow, look at that.
yeah.
All right.
Who?
Department of Justice
CVS.
announced a lawsuit on Wednesday accusing CVS of filling illegal opioid prescriptions and billing federal health insurance programs, contributing to the nationwide epidemic of opioid addiction
don't
and
believe
overdose.
that. I don't believe it. I've gone to CVS asking for my opioids, and they never fill them.
You know, that is the interesting thing. If you talk to cancer patients now, with who really have, and that, really the opioids were designed for pain associated with cancer, and I mean for the early on they do end up
I mean,
expanding the
morphine
Really,
predates cancer.
You realize I was kidding
Yeah.
around with my comment.
Oh no, I get that, but the people that have cancer, the hoops they have to go through to get opioids
Just
to
give them
address
all
their
what they
pain.
want. I don't care what it is. Just give them all what they want.
Yeah. All right. Question number 8: which invasive insect has been declared eradicated in the United States? Oh, that's relieving. Use the context clue on this one: fire ant, murder hornet, spotted lanternfly. That ain't
That
anywhere
isn't it.
near true.
What is the
Silk
top one?
moth, the spotted lanternfly.
No,
I'm sure you get them over in your area too, Dan. They're
yeah, they're very bad because we have Tree of Heaven, which is the preferred food for the spotted lanternfly.
yeah,
Mhm.
they're
Um,
bastards.
But we
They're
did
pretty.
see we saw murder hornet up at the top.
Yeah. All right, world's largest hornet, the invasive breed dubbed murder hornet, has been declared eradicated in the United States, which means we are going to get an infestation soon.
Yep.
So no more murder hornets, huh?
So
I
they
guess
say.
not.
We will see.
All right, which basketball team won the second annual NBA Cup, which I don't pay attention to? Boston, Milwaukee, New York, or Oklahoma City?
Oklahoma City.
All right, we got how confident are you in that, Joe?
I have no idea. It was a
Oh,
wild
okay, well, that
guess.
works.
I just threw one out there.
I want to say Milwaukee.
The
But
Milwaukee
again, I don't.
Bucks?
The Bucks,
Yes.
the big Bucks.
Who played for them? Lou Alcindor.
Yeah, before training to the Lakers.
LA.
Yes.
Becoming
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'll just throw this out for the moment. Who remembers the Pittsburgh Condors?
I do not.
Ah,
Do not.
they didn't last long, gentlemen. Let me
An
tell you.
ABA team?
When they were an ABA team, they were the Pipers, and they won the championship. We had a championship basketball team
Wow.
here in Pittsburgh. Who would have ever thought?
Wow.
But then they became the Pittsburgh Condors, and I can remember as a teenage youth seeing an ad for the Condors in my local paper. Were they actually advocating and advertising the Condors? No. They were advocating and recommending that you come out to see the game to see Lou Alcindor.
Yeah.
Not the Condors.
Not the
themselves.
home team. All right. So we've stumped the audience. I'm going to say I saw a story about the Milwaukee Bucks and how the NBA Cup saved their season. So, yes. Well, Bucks won the second annual NBA Cup after stifling the Oklahoma City Thunder 97-81 in Las Vegas.
There you go.
Scar forward Giannis Antetokounmpo was the final MVP.
So to our audience, you not only got the great answer, you also got great trivia.
Yeah. All right, question number 10. Which actor received an award from the U.S. Navy this week? Tom Cruise, Vin Diesel, Arnold Schwarzenegger, or Harrison Ford?
It has to be Tom Cruise.
I think so.
I'm looking at the picture, and it kind of looks like Tom Cruise.
It looks cruisy.
Cruisy.
It looks cruisy.
Dan. It looks cruisy.
It is.
I will say,
Top Gun star Tom Cruise was honored with the Department of Navy Distinguished Public Service Award, which recognized Cruise's contribution and dedication to the U.S. Navy through his film work. It is the Navy's highest honor that a person outside the department can receive. Janice got it right, and we got a 10 out of 10 this week.
that's pretty good.
That's pretty good. I'm pretty happy about that. All right, so next week is the second half of the 2024 Dumpster Fire and Review. We'll talk about the
Make
election.
me big. Take me out of the circle. Make me big.
We'll talk about the 2024 election. What is it doing now? There we go. It's a little delayed.
Thank you.
But we'll talk about the 2024 election. We'll talk about the assassination attempt on Donald Trump, just the tip, and
they blew his ear off.
No, he got nicked by a bullet. I mean, yeah, it's scary as shit. I mean, it was very close to going down at that point. I mean, he had just moved his head in an advantageous way just before it happened, and if he had not, it would have cracked the back of his skull, and we're probably still in some kind of civil war of some sort. So we're fairly lucky there.
I mean,
we'll talk about.
It's interesting that we don't hear anything about the guy who did it.
Well, he's gone.
No.
They blew his head
he's
off.
dead. He's dead. But
story.
That guy, he had a small little manifesto too, and
yeah, his was more on the and it disappeared. I think because it was talking about the what's his face, the child predator guy, and Ghislaine Maxwell.
right.
Epstein.
That was his cause celeb, and you know, of all the celebrities, the one who has the most pictures with that guy is Donald Trump. So
yes, no question.
But anyway, that's the show this week. The show next week will be the second half of the year, and we will talk to you all in a week. Have a good one, everybody.
Say goodnight, Gracie.
Good night, Gracie.
Happy holidays, everyone.